everyone has different ways to, get motivated, and very similar to Sherm, I do the same thing. I hear all this stuff and everything, but it's just you can't put that all out there all the time. It's just, you have to do with it what you will, and take it for what it is. It's just, at the end of the day, you gotta go out there and play football.
Friday edition of Pro Football Talk Live. There's Jimmy Garoppolo from Thursday meeting with the media. One of the umpteen times that all the key players for Super Bowl 54 will be talking to reporters. This is one of the only times we'll hear from them in their usual city. They'll be heading to Miami soon, as will we. Big Cat is back. And Jimmy Garoppolo, Big Cat, it's amazing that he's being criticized not for anything he's done, but what he hasn't done. Because at some point in the second half of the divisional round of the playoffs, Kyle Shanahan realized, why do we want to take any chances of this guy throwing a bunch of interceptions? Let's just run the ball until they stop us. And from the second half of that game to all of the next game, they haven't been able to stop him. So why let him do anything that could potentially screw up this quest to get Super Bowl championship number 6?
Mike, thanks for having me. I feel bad that you're sick. It's actually good that you got sick before Miami, though. Get that sick out of you. But I agree with everything you just said. Kyle Shanahan, I loved his quote after the NFC Championship game, because I truly do believe that the 49ers could have passed on the Packers if they wanted to. But when you're running for 8 yards a carry, why would you ever go off of that? And that's why I love Kyle Shanahan. That's why I think he's one of the best coaches in the NFL, why he's sitting at the eve of a Super Bowl right now, because he takes what the defense gives him. And he knows that this coaching thing, sometimes guys overthink it. Sometimes guys get a little too ahead of themselves and they try to be cute. Kyle Shanahan knows that if one thing is working, it doesn't matter style points. It doesn't matter if Jimmy Garoppolo threw the ball 8 times. You know what matters? Getting to the Super Bowl. So I love that from Kyle Shanahan, and I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo deserves any criticism for that. If it was flipped and, Super Bowl Sunday, the Chiefs say, hey, we're going to, load the box, make sure that the 49ers can't run. First of all, they won't be able to stop the run because the 49ers run game is that good. But if I were a 49er fan, I would think Jimmy Garoppolo has the ability to throw the ball 20, 25 times if need be. So I'm not taking this as a knock on Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm actually saying it's a plus for Kyle Shanahan and how great he is as a coach.
He admits that he hears the doubters. Now, he internalizes it more than others would, but he hears them, and you want to prove them wrong. And you have to wonder how he reacts if the original game plan that gets distributed to the players calls for run if they keep running. And if they keep running effectively like they have for the last 6 quarters, like, hey, Kyle, I'd like to kind of prove that I'm worth my $27.5 million per year, because that's going to be the next question, Big Cat. If he has a Bob Greasy Super Bowl where he throws the ball between 7 and 11 times and they win, at some point somebody's going to say, why the hell are they paying him so much money when they don't need to use him?
Because if they wanted to pass, he would be able, and obviously the 49ers offense is not built to go deep, because look at the weapons they have. Besides George Kittle, it's not like they have these incredible wide receivers. I like Deebo Samuel, I like Emmanuel Sanders, but they don't have guys that are stretching the field, that are taking the top off the defense. So this offense is built exactly for what they have been doing. It's not a knock on Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, can be that guy. It's just that he doesn't need to be asked to do it if the run offense is as good as it has been all season long. So I of course, in the competitor nature, like Jimmy Garoppolo is sitting there saying, I want to throw the ball, I want to win this game, I want to have a big part in winning it. But let me just remind you, Jimmy Garoppolo, you have a lot of money, you're very, very attractive, you can win a Super Bowl, and oh yeah, guess what? Bill Belichick loves you, and Bill Belichick saw something in you, so I'm going to say that you probably have something as well if Bill Belichick thinks you have something and Kyle Shanahan thinks that you should be a quarterback. So your time will come. Just be patient and win this Super Bowl.
But if there's anything to the idea that the way Garoppolo was playing against the Vikings, where he could have had 3 interceptions that all could have / should have been caught by Eric Kendricks. He did get one of them. The Vikings weren't able to do anything with it. They got a field goal to make it 14-10 at the half. When they flipped the switch in the second half to 16 straight runs, was Kyle freaked out by this sense, this perception, this possibility that Garoppolo was going to have a hard time? I mean, what made Kyle Shanahan decide to run, to set up the run, to set up the run, to set up the run. I mean, how many times do we see at some point play action gets sprinkled in when you've got a defense on its heels? That's what's been surprising to me, that they have come. And look, Kyle Shanahan is brilliant enough to not outsmart himself. If I'm doing this and it's working and you can't stop it, why would I stop doing it? That's the brilliance of it. But at some point it becomes glaring. At some point you do say, why are we paying this guy so much money?
I do not care. I honestly think that this is where we're at with the NFL and coaching, that Kyle Shanahan doing something that works repeatedly, which then means that he's not passing the ball. Everyone is sitting there scratching their head being like, why isn't he passing the ball? What's wrong with Jimmy Garoppolo? I would love to have a coach like this who says, I am going to just do whatever it takes to win. I don't care about being some genius. I don't care about having the run-pass balance. I'm going to win, and if they can't stop the run, I will just keep running it down their throat. It's refreshing, to be honest with you. So I'm looking at it a completely different way than people saying, oh, Jimmy Garoppolo, they don't trust him or he's not up to the challenge. I'm looking at it as Kyle Shanahan is great for what he is doing, and it's refreshing to see a coach just flat out admit, if you can't stop us. This is Vince Lombardi, Mike. This is Vince Lombardi. They're just going to keep running the same play over and over and over until you stop it. And guess what? They probably won't stop it.
You said something earlier, Big Cat, that caught my ear. Do you believe the Chiefs will be able to stop the 49ers running game?
No, I actually don't. And of course, I think they will be better than what the Packers were, because the Packers were a disgrace in that department. So, qualify stop the running game. Give me a number to say this is how they're going to stop the running game. I think, obviously, they did a good job against Derrick Henry, but this is a different running attack. This is a different beast altogether. Derrick Henry, unbelievable run. What he did in the playoffs, what he did in December was fantastic. I just think that much like the days of Kyle Shanahan's father's team, the Denver Broncos, they can just throw someone out there and hit the one cut and get downhill, and they'll beat you over and over and over again. And it's the blocking more than anything than the running back. So I do not think they will be able to stop the run on Super Bowl Sunday. Maybe a little bit better than the Packers, but stop it? Absolutely not.
And in that first highlight that we've showed, if you're watching on NBCSN or Sky Sports, it was the 3rd and 8 trap play that was called that Raheem Mostert took to the end zone. And for me, Big Cat, when I saw that, right, game over. It's 7-0, but it's game over, because it's not like you're going to come up with some different strategy at halftime that's going to allow you to stop what you just physically can't stop. And one of the things I've been talking about this week, the fact that the 49ers have collected a bunch of guys who are badass, roughneck, we don't need to practice blocking, hitting, and tackling, because they don't practice it like they used to. The 2011 CBA reduced dramatically the amount of time that these guys can go out and get that callus on their bodies, as Jim Harbaugh calls it. Sharpen the saw. Have yourself ready for contact on Sunday, because you're getting contact more frequently. These are guys who can flip the switch at any time, and they will go out there and they will out-hit, outwork, out-muscle, and I think there's going to be a premium placed, where there's always a reaction to when a great team comes out and dominates the NFL. What do you do to stop him? What do you do over the next 7 months? How do you slow down Patrick Mahomes? That was last year's project. This year, it's going to be equal parts. What do you do about Lamar Jackson? And what do you do about this 49ers run game? Well, you know what you do? You go out and you find some guys who can tackle without practicing tackling, because they don't. Who can hit without practicing hitting, because they don't. And until someone comes up with a defense like that, I don't think you're going to be able to stop the 49ers running game.
Yeah, I agree with you. And one other thing, if you look at the advanced stats, the Chiefs were one of the worst teams this year on defending the run to the edges, and that's what the 49ers do very, very well. They obviously were good against Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry cut the ball back a lot, and that kind of was, the day for the Titans. And situational football obviously matters, where that drive that the Titans have to, with 2.5 minutes left in the first half, they go 3 and out. The game kind of flips. It's harder to run the ball when you're down against a team like the Chiefs, against Patrick Mahomes. I just think the 49ers, the way that they're set up, they're going to be able to run on anyone, Now, I'm sure we'll get to this and talk about it all next week. That's not saying that Patrick Mahomes won't be able to throw on the 49ers, so this might be a game because of that way. But in terms of the matchup where the Chiefs' defense matching up against the 49ers' running attack, I'm hard-pressed to see the Chiefs being able to hold them to under 100 yards like they did with Derrick Henry.
Big difference, too, that I see between Derrick Henry and the running game that the 49ers have. Derrick Henry needs 2 or 3 steps to get up to full speed. The 49ers don't. They go. The acceleration and the burst are immediate. So you don't have the luxury of a couple of steps to get to the guy and try to hit him before he busts through the hole and he's gone. You got to get there faster or he's going to bust through the hole and he's going to be gone. And we see that very exotic blocking that Chris Sims breaks down all the time, and he does it extremely well, that shows how the fullback and the tight end, Kyle Juszczyk and George Kittle, get involved and create those holes that get blown wide open, and the guy's gone before you can do anything about it. He's just gone.
Yeah, it's fantastic to watch. And that was actually a funny thing. You know, on Sunday, everyone's saying, where's George Kittle? He only had, I think, 1 catch. Well, if you watch the game and you're not watching the ball, George Kittle's all over the field. He's a blocking maniac. And he's the type of guy that you love to have on offense because he doesn't care if he gets the ball. He probably, if you asked him, he probably enjoys blocking just as much as he enjoys pass catching. So having those type of guys, the dudes that can basically make this whole machine run, is why the 49ers are in the Super Bowl and why their rushing offense is special.
Yeah, he said after the game, how many runs did we have? They told him 42. He said we should have gone for 50. And they also have guys like Deebo Samuel and Emmanuel Sanders on board with it too. It helps when you're winning. See, you can get by with the 1973 Miami Dolphins offense if you're winning. But the moment you're not winning, that's when you start to get the questions. They wanted to trade for Odell Beckham Jr. back in February and March before he went to Cleveland. How do you think Odell Beckham Jr. would be dealing with this run-heavy offense in the postseason?
Well, probably not very well, but Mike, you bring up Odell Beckham, and this whole Super Bowl week, when we get to Miami, it's going to be the Patrick Mahomes week, and it rightfully so. He is the most electric quarterback in the game. He is going to be the best quarterback in the game for probably the next decade. But it's going to be interesting how the narrative gets written here with, the Chiefs. This is their first Super Bowl of what should be many in the next decade. What about the 49ers? The 49ers, you just said they wanted Odell Beckham. The 49ers don't have that deep threat. Guess what is a plenty in this year's draft? Wide receivers. There are so many good wide receivers in this year's NFL draft. Can you imagine the 49ers adding a special deep threat to this roster? Are we saying to ourselves, the Chiefs are going to be back here every single year and not realizing maybe it's the 49ers that are starting something special? Maybe it's the 49ers that are going to be back here every year, and this is the start of something that in 5-6 years we look back on and say, wow, Kyle Shanahan, Jimmy Garoppolo, George Kittle, this whole Niners thing, it's been working, and they've been to 3-4 Super Bowls.
It was funny, after the NFC Championship, Aaron Rodgers was speaking in very optimistic terms. Even though he looked miserable, he looked like he'd just gotten back from 5 months at sea. He said the window is open for us, and we're going to be on the right side of one of these soon. Then a couple of days later, Coach Matt LaFleur basically was like, how in the hell are we going to beat the 49ers? I mean, who's getting past the 49ers the way this team is currently constructed, the way they can run the ball, the way they play defense, the way they're coached week in and week out? It's going to be a big challenge for the Packers or any other team in the NFC, including your Chicago Bears. I wore this today so you would be nice to me. You haven't given me a hard time about it yet.
I don't know what you're talking about, Mike. This is when you do the 2 for flinching, and I'm just not going to tell you when I'm going to give you the shot in the arm. So I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know if you were trending yesterday. I don't know if you said anything controversial. We'll just have to find out if I get a joke in somewhere along the way.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.